Hello everyone, this is Shailesh Gupta and I welcome you all on our YouTube channel Gyan or Vigyan. Today we are going to study about chemical kinetics. So without any further delay, let's get started. So guys, in class 11th you might have studied about the various aspects of a chemical reaction. Like let me talk about some stoichiometric concept of stoichiometric aspect of chemical reaction. So I have taken for instance a reaction in which 3 mole of A when reacts with 2 mole of B forms 1 mole of C and 4 mole of T, right. So what will happen if you are going to take more or less amount than this? So it will react according to its stoichiometry, guys. Say for example, if I am taking, instead of 3 mole, if I took 6 mole of A, then how many mole of B is required? Then you can say, sir, 3 mole of A requires 2 mole of B, then 6 mole will require definitely 4 mole of B, and how many mole of C and D will produce? So accordingly the corresponding mole will also be doubled, so it will form 2 mole of C and 4 mole of 4 into 2, that means 8 mole of D. Now this was the discussion related to the stoichiometric aspect of a reaction. Have you focused on the time aspect of this reaction? Obviously not. How much time it is going to take to complete, how much time it is going to take to react the complete 6 mole of A, how much time it is going to take to get 1 mole of C, how much time it is going to take just 6 mole of D, such question have never been asked and such question have never been discussed till now. So that is what the purpose of this topic is. We are going to discuss about the time aspect, how much time it is going to take. So basically in chemical kinetics, we will study about with what speed a chemical reaction proceeds. So when it comes to speed, guys, so let's take a very simple example and start. Let us consider that a molecule A is converting into B. A reactant A is changing into the product B, and I started with, say for example, 1 mole of A. So and there is no mole of B, 0 mole of B. So at T is equal to 0, obviously I have 1 mole of A and 0 mole of B. At any general time, guys, T, as you can see, the stoichiometry of A and B both are 1. So if X mole of A will react, in that case we will get X mole of B, because 1:1 molar ratio is. Now how much amount we have taken initially for A, that is 1 mole. So at general time T, what will be the amount of A that will be left? So answer is 1 we took, X is reacted, so 1 minus X it will left. How much B will form? 0 we took, X is produced, so total amount is X. So if someone will say that what is the amount of A at general time T in terms of X, so answer will be 1 minus X. How much amount of B that will be there in terms of X, then you can say B at time T will be X. Once again let me recall, I took 1 molar of A and I did not take any part of B in the mixture. Now if you talk about the variation of the concentration of A with time, so you can see, guys, we can plot roughly a graph like this. We can plot roughly a graph like this, that with time A will continuously decrease. With time B will continuously increase. Okay. Now let's discuss about the various aspect of rate of reaction and what is the relation between the rate of A with the rate of B. Let's discuss. Okay, so first of all let us understand how many different types of rate is defined in chemical kinetics. So types of rate, there are 2 types of rate, guys, average rate and instantaneous rate. Just like you would have studied in physics, average velocity and instantaneous velocity. So whenever we talk about average, we talk about a considerable time gap. As you can see in the graph, if I am talking about, can you tell me with what average rate A is getting consumed between 10 minute to 30 minute, guys. Then what we have to do? Basically average rate of A, if you are going to talk, average rate of consumption of A. If you are going to talk average rate of consumption of A, then it is basically minus time of concentration of A at T is equal to 30 minute minus concentration of A at T is equal to 10 minute and whole divided by 30 minus 10. So what I did basically, guys, if you see, I did simply delta of, change of concentration of A divided by total time taken. Likewise, if I'll talk about instantaneous rate, so instantaneous rate means when you are going to decrease this time gap close to 0. So that means instantaneous rate of consumption of A at what time? Once again at T is equal to, let's talk about 30 seconds. Then what I have to do? So I'll be writing that rate of consumption of A, instantaneous rate of consumption of A will be equal to minus time of D of concentration of A divided by dt, right? So if that time, now graphically if you would like to understand, then the average rate of A is defined by the slope of this portion of the curve. See, the average from here to here, so this is the portion of the curve, guys, from P to Q. So whatever is the theta, if you will take that tan theta, that will tell you the average rate. Whereas if you will talk about instantaneous rate at T is equal to 30 minutes, then in that case the slope of this line, basically this tan theta 2, will tell us about the instantaneous rate of consumption of A. Okay, so now we have understood that what is average rate, what is instantaneous rate. Now let's talk about if suppose the stoichiometric coefficient of the different reactants are different, then will the rate of consumption of A be equal to the rate of consumption of B? So technically, is the rate of A is equal to rate of B? Is the rate of B is equal to rate of C? Is the rate of C is equal to rate of D? That's what we want to know, right? So relation between the rate of different reactants and products of a reaction. So let's talk about, guys, let's see, it's very simple. So for instance, I took one hypothetical reaction in which A plus 2B is consuming and we are getting 3C plus 4D. Now let's talk about, by considering their initial molar concentration, let's talk about, I took A0 concentration of A at T is equal to 0 and B0 concentration of B. I took 0 concentration of C and I took 0 concentration of D. That means I started my reaction by taking only A and B in the container. I added just A and B in the container with initial amount of A0 and B0. Now as per the reaction, if I'll talk about at general time T, as you can see that 1 mole of A when reacts with 2 mole of B, it produces 3 and 4. So what is the ratio? They are reacting in the ratio 1:2 and producing the product in the ratio 3:4. So if X mole of A will consume, then for every X mole of A, how many mole of B will consume? 2X mole of B, right? For every X mole of A, how many mole of C will form? So answer will be 3X mole. For every mole of A, how many mole of D will form? Answer is 4. So for every X, so it will be 4X. Now at general time t, if I'll talk about what will be their concentration at general time t, so can I say that A naught I took and X is reacted, so A will be A naught minus X. Similarly, how much B will be there? So B minus 2x. How much C will be there? 3x. How much D will be there? 4x. So can I write that concentration of A at general time t in terms of x is A naught minus x. Similarly, concentration of B at general time t in terms of x is B naught minus 2x. Similarly, can I say that concentration of C at time t in terms of x will be 3x. Similarly, you can write concentration of D at time t in terms of x will be 4x. Now let us differentiate, because we are interested to know about the rate of A and rate of B, rate of C and rate of D relation. So let's differentiate. So what is rate of disappearance? Because A and B is reactant, so with time they will disappear and C and D will produce. So I am going to use the word here rate of disappearance. Rate of disappearance of A. So how I am going to write it? So this is denoted by minus time of dA by dt. Why I am putting minus sign? Because I am already saying that they are getting disappearing. I mean their concentration is decreasing. So and dA will, with time, if A is decreasing, so delta of A will be obviously negative. So if delta A is negative, to make it positive I am substituting a negative sign, right? So because I use the word disappearance, then the whole value should be positive. So for that I took just negative sign. Similarly guys, if you talk about rate of disappearance of B, so rate of disappearance of B, can I write minus dB by dt? Now tell me, what about C and D? Are they disappearing or appearing? So they are appearing. So rate of appearance how much guys? Can I write like this, that d of C divided by dt? Similarly, rate of appearance of D, can I write like d of d upon dt? Now how to relate them? Now if we'll talk about let us substitute this value. Number 1, minus dA whole divided by dt is equal to, let's substitute this value of concentration. Then what will be the situation? This will be minus time of d by dt of A. What is A at time t? A naught minus x. Okay. So what we are going to get? You differentiate. What is A naught? A naught is a constant value. So if you will differentiate a constant, it will become 0. So what we are going to get? 0. And minus will become plus. So plus dx by dt. So what I got? I got the value dx by dt is equal to minus dA by dt. So this is first guys, okay. Likewise, if you take B, let's differentiate this one. So second, minus dB by dt is equal to minus time of d by dt of what is the concentration of B at time t. So it is B naught minus 2x. Now if I'll differentiate this, what will happen? So B naught is a constant, it will be 0. So it will become 0 plus minus and minus will become plus 2 will be taken out. So it will be 2 times of dx by dt. So once again, if I'll talk that dx by dt will be how much? So can you say that 1 by 2 with a negative sign dB by dt. Similarly guys, you solve for the third one, that means dC by dt at general time t Can you see that this is nothing but d by dt of, can you see what was the value? It was 3x. So I can write as d by dt of 3x. So what will be the value? 3 times of dx by dt. So can I say that dx by dt is equal to 1 by 3 times of dc by dt? So likewise if we'll talk fourth one, that dv by dt, so that means d by dt of, just check the concentration of d, how much it was? So it was 4x. So can I use that? Now how much we will get? 4 times of dx by dt. From here dx by dt is equal to 4 times of dx by dt is equal to 1 by 4 times of dd by dt. So this is fourth, this was third, this was second, right, and this was first. So once again let's copy this. So for this reaction you can see that how we derived the overall thing with the help of 1, 2, 3 and fourth one. We have seen that how dx by dt value is equal to minus time of dA by dt, and that is equal to 1 by 2 dV by dt, and that is equal to 1 by 3 dc by dt, and that is equal to 1 by 4, if you see, 1 by 4 dd by dt. So if I have to say about rate of disappearance, so this is rate of disappearance of it. This is rate of disappearance with a negative sign, okay. This is appearance of C and this is appearance of D. So can I say that dx by dt is nothing but rate of disappearance of A, and dx by dt is just half of rate of disappearance of B, is equal to rate of production of C by 3 and is equal to 1 by 4th of rate of production of D. So if you want to generalize how they are related, guys, if you want to generalize this dx by dt, is named as rate of reaction. Okay, so per molecule, basically how much time it is taking to consume per molecule, right? So with what rate actually molecular consumptions are taking place, so that is a rate of reaction. Now if you want to relate with rate of reaction with various component, then rate of A, rate of B, rate of C and rate of D. Can you observe one thing? Are you observing one thing? That when we are talking about RA, then look at its stoichiometry 1, so it is divided by 1. Look at the stoichiometry 2, it is divided with 2. Look at the stoichiometry 3, it is divided by 3. Look at the stoichiometry 4, it is divided with 4. And it should be also, because by the time 1 mole of A is getting consumed, how many moles of B is getting consumed? 2 mole. By the time 1 mole of A is getting consumed, C is getting consumed 3 mole. So means rate of A and rate of C, if you compare, that rate of consumption of C is 3 times of A, and which you can see here very clearly. You just equate, what you are going to get? RC by 3 is equal to RA, means RC is equal to 3 times of RA, means the rate at which A is getting consumed, 3 times of that is the rate of consumption of, production of C. Okay, till here everything is okay. Now moving to the relation. Okay, till now we have studied that how the rate of A, B, C and D are related. Now we are very much interested that on what factor the overall rate of reaction depends. Okay, rate of reaction means which factor, guys? This one, dx by dt. Okay, on what factor it depends. So let me take the same example which we took here, A, 2B, 3C, 4D. Now if you take this example, guys, so what do you think, how a reaction actually happens? A reaction happens by when a molecule of A and molecules of B are undergoing collision and they are forming C and D. That's how it is. I mean, because of the molecular collision. So if we'll talk about on what factor the rate depends, so it is essentially on collision, right? And collision depends on multiple factors. So factors affecting rate. Dx by dt, factors affecting rate of reaction. So let's talk about few of these. Number one is, what is the active mass of A and B, active mass of the reactant. Active mass of reactant. Right, here I am using the word active mass, not concentration, because they are different, guys. Okay, you have studied already in chemical equilibrium, so I am not dictating here. So active mass of the reactant, or roughly you can say concentration of reactant. Second, if you will talk about, so it does depend on what is the temperature of the reaction. Third, if you will talk about, so have we used any catalyst? So if yes, it depends on the nature of catalyst used. Does it depend on the medium of the reaction? Yes. So generally if we will talk about medium, I am talking basically about solvent. So yes, it depends on the nature of solvent and reactant. What about if it is a photosensitive reaction, guys? So yes, it depends on the intensity of light. Like you would have heard that photosynthesis in the plants used to happen in the daytime more as compared to in the night time, and if there is no ambient light, that photosynthesis doesn't happen. So that reaction is affected by the intensity of light. Now what are the other? So there are multiple factors, guys. I am just dictating few of them. Now one of the very important thing is pressure. Now this pressure terminology used to affect too much about the gaseous reaction. Right. Now if we want to formulate it, how will the rate depend? So rate of a reaction R is proportional to active mass A to the power m and B to the power n. Now if you remove the proportionality constant, it will become rate R will be equal to rate constant K A to the power m and B to the power n. Let me tell you very clearly, guys, very clearly. I started with this reaction. Right, and I am right now saying that I am keeping these constant m and n. Now the question genuinely arises that, sir, will these value be equal to 1? I mean, m value will be equal to 1 and n value will be equal to 2, as we have studied in chemical equilibrium. So guys, it may or may not be. It may or may not be. Please make my point clear that this m and n may or may not be equal to the stoichiometry of the reaction. Right? Now the next question will be, sir, when should we consider and when should we not? When we are going to consider the thing and when we are going to simply not, when we are not going to consider the stoichiometry. So the answer is, first you need to identify that which type of reaction is it. Which type of reaction is it? Another question is, if m and n is not the stoichiometry, what do we pronounce it? So guys, m is pronounced as order of reaction with respect to A, reactant A. N is pronounced as order of the reaction with respect to reactant B. And m plus n is said to be overall order of the reaction. M plus n is overall order of reaction. Right? Now let's talk about the unit also, and thereafter we'll talk about the variation of K. Okay, so let's first talk about the unit of K. Rate constant K. So just simply equate what is the unit of R. So unit of R means R is rate means with concentration divided by time. So can I write roughly mole per liter and whole divided by time. If I am taking per second, then it is second. So that means in R I can write this unit. Now this will also be mole per liter, this will also be mole per liter. So can I say that K into mole per liter to the power m plus n, and this m plus n is nothing but order of reaction. So from here can I write unit of K is equal to mole per liter whole to the power 1 minus order of reaction per second. Can I write like this? Suppose if X is the order of reaction, if m plus n is equal to X, which is overall order reaction, then unit of K is equal to mole per liter whole to the power 1 minus X per second. Make a note. Now coming to the expression of rate constant, guys. Now as you have seen that rate is equal to K into reactant to the power order. So the active mass of the reactant to the power order. Now as you can see that this particular term have taken already the part of concentration. Then obviously remaining everything about solvent, temperature, catalyst, everything will be taken by this K. So what does this, the general expression of the K is K is equal to A e to the power minus EA upon RT. Let me quickly tell you all of these terms. This is rate constant. Guys, this is pre-exponential constant. This EA is activation energy. Right, this is temperature in Kelvin, or you can say absolute temperature. Right, and this is irrational number E, whose value is close to 2.7. Right, so this rate constant A, pre-exponential constant, and this whole equation, this particular equation of K is known as Arrhenius equation. Okay, be a little careful about my spelling. So this whole thing is known as Arrhenius equation. Right. Now let's talk about one by one. Before that, I would like to give you a logarithmic expression of this one. Okay. So let's take log to the base E on both sides. Taking log to the base E on both sides. I hope you all know log to the base E of something is known as ln. So can I write ln K is equal to ln of A e to the power minus EA by RT? Now let's expand this. This will be ln A, okay, and plus log to the base e to the power minus EA by RT. So as you know, this is power, this will come here. So this will be log A, sorry, this will be ln A minus EA upon RT. So now if you'll talk about ln K, so I can write even in log to the base 10. So if you know this relation that ln x is equal to 2.303 log to the base 10x. So if you remember this relation, you can go ahead. Right, so can I write log to the base 10x is equal to log to the base 10a minus EA upon 2.303 R 1 by T. Now guys, if you would like to plot the curve on the y-axis, we are taking log to the base 10x. Here it is K basically. With 1 by T. So can you see this is a linear equation? This is y and this 1 by T is x. So isn't it? And you look at the slope. Activation energy is always positive. I'll just explain about this. So EA and divided by 2.303 R. The whole thing is a positive and negative here. So it's having a negative slope with this value. And A value, let me tell you, is abruptly very high, of the order of 10 to the power 4, 5, 6. So this log of A will be positive. So how will the overall graph look like? So it will look like this. right? So this y-intercept is nothing but, or the intercept on log to the base 10 graph will be log of, okay. And what will be the slope, everyone? This slope tan theta will be nothing but minus EA by 2.303 R, or this is slope. Now if you know any one of these, you can accordingly calculate the value of activation energy if you know the slope. Okay, just make sure that in which unit they have given the value of R, in the same unit you are going to get the activation energy. Okay, so if R is given in calorie, if you remember, it is 2 calorie, right? 2 calorie per mole per Kelvin, or in SI unit you know that 8.314 joule per mole per Kelvin. So that's how we are going to calculate it. So this was all about Want Hoff equation, right? So I have dictated it properly. Now let's talk about activation energy, guys. What is activation energy? What is activation energy and how does it affect the rate of reaction? So activation energy, let me explain you in this way. Right. Let's talk about two atom which is going to come close to each other. Let's talk about the reaction of nitrogen N2 with hydrogen and forming ammonia. So can you see this nitrogen is a gas, okay? It is having its own electron cloud, guys, okay? So one nitrogen, another nitrogen, so there is a overlap formation of sigma, there is overlap of formation of pi bond, okay, right, and another pi bond is there. So what I am trying to tell you, essentially look at this is surrounded by electron cloud. Now if we'll talk about hydrogen, hydrogen also is surrounded by electron cloud, right? So once they are going to come close to each other, what will happen? First their electrons are going to interact with each other, and obviously at the same time nuclear force, nucleus is also attracting electron, but you can see that when they'll come close to each other, there is a chances of repulsion, guys. And see how we are going to get ammonia, unless the bond of hydrogen is broken, unless the bond of nitrogen is broken, how they are going to combine. So we have to break this. So definitely this requires a certain amount of energy that should be given to these molecules so that they can rearrange the bond and can form the product. So that repulsion barrier before forming ammonia can be termed as activation energy, right? So activation energy. Then if I have to show, how should I show on a reaction coordinate? You can say that if a reaction is going on reactant, and suppose here product is there, okay, right now I'm talking about an exothermic reaction, then during the reaction, whenever the molecule come close to each other, then at this peak you can say that when the bond of the reactants are almost broken and the new bond of the product started to form. So if you measure this energy from the reactants level, we say that this is activation energy for the forward reaction, guys, EA, or simply we say EA because we are discussing about forward reaction only. We are not talking about reversible reaction. We are talking about only forward reaction. So this is the activation energy. Now the nice point about this activation energy is, see, this product is obviously more stable as compared to reactant. Now imagine a case if there is no activation energy, what will happen? Reactant will automatically go to the product straight away. Reactant probably will not exist in the nature. But because of this activation energy, reactant is also possible. Like you see, the reaction of ammonia is exothermic. The delta H is negative. Means ammonia is much more stable as compared to individual form of nitrogen and hydrogen. But thank God that there is a barrier of activation energy. Otherwise, this nitrogen and hydrogen will smoothly combine and form ammonia, because they have to first take this energy, they have to accept this energy, this extra amount of energy. Once they will accept it, thereafter they can form the product, not directly from here to here. And that's why nitrogen also exists in the nature and hydrogen also exists in the nature. Right? I hope you would have understood the concept of activation energy. You can say that minimum amount of extra energy required to reactant molecule to form product. Right? To form product. Let me tell you more thing about this. Now coming back to the Arrhenius equation once again. This K is equal to A e to the power minus EA by RT. Let me tell you what this particular factors tells about. This e to the power minus EA by RT is nothing but, suppose in a reaction mixture there are millions of the molecules. Now obviously some will have the higher energy, some will have lower energy, right? So this particular thing e to the power minus EA by RT is nothing but, this tells about the fraction of molecule, once again fraction of molecule whose energy is, whose kinetic energy or whose energy is greater or equal to EA, guys. So out of the million molecule, what fraction of the molecule we have in the container whose energy is greater or equal to EA, that this value of e to the power minus EA by RT tells. Right? Obviously it will be far less than 1. Okay. So that's all about the Arrhenius equation. Now a little bit let's discuss about how will it vary with temperature for indo and exothermic. So one of the common mistake that a student generally does, that they talk about for endothermic reaction, for exo, they say that if the temperature is increased, the rate constant increases for indo whereas decreases for exo, but that is absolutely wrong. You see, whether a reaction is endothermic or a reaction is exothermic, now what do you see about activation energy? So look at this, activation energy is positive. Here also it is positive, guys, because activation energy is the measurement of reactant to the highest energy state, most activated state, this energy, this is always positive, right? So if it is positive, then if EA is always positive, now you can expect that if EA is positive and you are increasing temperature, then what will happen? The overall value will decrease. So e to the power minus value if decreases, then actually the overall K value increases. So for indo or for exo, K will always increase if temperature is increased. This is most important point. Okay. So K will, so right now what I am talking about, I am talking about the fraction, the factors affecting rate constant. So number 1 is increasing temperature increases K. Doesn't matter, once again I am telling you, whether it is endothermic or whether it is exothermic, whether it is exo or endo, it doesn't matter. Second one is, you look at this activation energy. So obviously it is related to that also. Now how to change the activation energy? Now here comes the concept of catalyst, guys. Here comes the concept of catalyst. So obviously catalyst also plays an important role in changing the value of K. So in old nomenclature, a catalyst was classified in two types. The one which increases the rate of reaction was termed as positive catalyst, and the one which was decreasing the activation energy, the one which is decreasing the rate of reaction was termed as negative catalyst. So a positive catalyst means it will increase the rate of reaction, a negative catalyst means it will decrease. But in modern terminology, we say that catalyst means the substance which always increases the rate of reaction, right? So rate of reaction is important. Rate is increased by addition of some substance, then we say that it is a catalyst, and if it is not, then we say it is a poison or moderator. Okay. So now catalyst means someone which will increase, and how does it do? How will it do? Now for that I would like to introduce one particular thing. You have to see this diagram, right? So this is a typical metal catalyst which I have taken here. This is a typical metal catalyst, guys. Right. Now as you can see that it is providing a surface, right? On that surface the different molecules are coming. So earlier these molecules were directly, when coming close to each other, there was a bigger repulsion. But now this surface is attracting this molecule also, this molecule also, and this molecule also. If now this is attracting this, so the combination of these two, which was earlier very difficult, now will become easy just because of that, just because of this catalyst. So catalyst decreases the activation energy, decreases the barrier, decreases the activation energy. Right, catalyst decreases the activation energy. And now if you want to see that in the presence of catalyst and in the absence of catalyst, how the overall, the reaction progress will look like. So in absence of catalyst, if it is going like this, R to P, okay, reaction coordinate. Then in the presence of catalyst, definitely this pathway will change and it might go with a lower pathway, guys. So this is happening in the presence of catalyst. So what does catalyst does? I mean, what does it do basically? So catalyst is reducing the activation energy, you can see. Now this much value is actually changed. Earlier it was requiring this much energy, E, A. Now it requires only this much energy, guys, from here to the topmost value, that is EA dash. Right. So now if EA is decreased, guys, then K will K will increase. You can see in the equation K is equal to A e to the power minus EA by RT. If you will increase EA, then K will decrease, and if you will decrease EA, then K will increase. Now coming to the very important analysis, suppose we have two reaction. I am going to ask one question with you. Suppose you are having two reaction, A is forming product B and another reaction is some C is forming product D. Now I have told you, suppose its activation energy is 100 and its activation energy is, say for example, 50 unit, right. Now if I am saying that I was carrying out this reaction at some temperature T naught is equal to 300 Kelvin. Now I am increasing the temperature and the new temperature, that means T1 is 400 Kelvin, and the same thing I am doing here also. T1 is equal to 300 Kelvin and T2 is equal to 400 Kelvin. Now see, the change in temperature is same, activation energy is different. Now if I will ask that, guys, what do you think, in which case rise, obviously you know that if you will increase the temperature, what will happen, K will increase, and if K will increase, you know that R is equal to K into concentration to the power order. So if K increases, then rate will also increase. My question here is, in which case, in which of the above case the rise in rate will be higher. Means I am basically interested in, can you tell me in which particular case the R2 by R1 value will be higher. So now as you can see, if we are not changing the concentration and we are changing only the activation energy, then R2 by R1 will be nothing but the ratio of K2 by K1. Now the ratio of K2 by K1 means, let us talk about this. So K2 by K1, you already know K is equal to what, A to the power minus EA by RT. You have taken a log ln K is equal to ln A minus EA upon RT. Guys, from here if it is ln K1, then it is ln A, pre-exponential constant which does not change appreciably, number 1. Now at temperature T2, it will be equal to ln A minus EA by RT2. Now take the difference of these two, ln K2 minus ln K1 will be equal to EA upon R 1 by T1 minus 1 by T2. Guys, ln A minus B is ln K2 by, so ln K2 by K1 is equal to EA by R 1 by T1 minus 1 by T2. Now if you see this, guys, very interesting. If you see this K2 by K1 or R2 by R1 is proportional to this activation energy. Isn't it interesting? The reaction whose activation energy is very high, there if you increase the temperature, then the increase in rate will be higher. So if K2 by K1 depends on EA, so you can say that higher increase will observed, higher increase in rate by changing temperature or by raising temperature or by increasing temperature, will be for that reaction whose EA value is higher. Right, this was the first important discussion in chemical kinetics. Another common mistake that people used to do, Suppose I took, guys, a reaction N2 plus 3H2 forming 2 ammonia. Right, N2 plus 3H2 forming 2 ammonia. Now you can relate, as I told you, rate equation if you want to write. Okay, so what will be the rate equation? So rate of reaction will be equal to minus dN2 divided by dt will be equal to 1 by 3 minus dH2 by dt will be equal to 1 by 2 d of ammonia by dt. Now suppose if I told you that at certain moment, right, 14 gram of ammonia is consumed per second. Now if I'll ask that, can you tell me how many grams of ammonia produced per second? Now you know the biggest mistake that student used to commit, that they will take this figure and they will equate it with it. No, that's not the mistake, guys. What you will say, that this one means rate of ammonia production divided by 2 is equal to rate of nitrogen production. So from here, rate of ammonia, rate of nitrogen consumption. So rate of ammonia will be double of the rate of nitrogen. Till here also it is okay. Now on the very next moment, if you are going to substitute this here, that's a rate of nitrogen is given as 14 gram per second. Can we use it? Answer is yes, you can use it, but that will give you the wrong. And why is it so? Because you see, in the expression we are discussing about concentration, which tells about mole per liter, or it tells about the relation in mole, not in gram. So you can say that first we have to convert this 14 gram into mole. So how much it will be? So 14 gram divided by 28 gram, that means these many moles per second. How many mole now? 1 by 2. Now this is interesting. Now you use it here. Now if you use it, what you are going to get? A rate of ammonia will be equal to 2 into 1 by 2. That will be equal to 1. 1 mole per second, guys. Mole. So 1 mole of ammonia is how much? 1 mole of ammonia is nothing but 17 gram per second, because 1 mole molar mass of ammonia is. So this is the second possible mistake that student used to do. So always keep mole per liter, mole like that. Alright everyone, so that's all in the discussion related to nitrogen with ammonia and how we are going to use. So at the end, let us conclude the whole thing. So as I told you that if a reaction A plus 2B forming 3C plus 4D is given, so what will be the differential rate law for this? Differential rate law. So the differential rate law is minus 1 by rate of reaction is dx by dt, and that is equal to minus dA by dt, that is equal to 1 by 2 minus time, with reactant always use minus time, with product use positive sign, plus 1 by 3 times of dC by dt plus 1 by 4 of dd by dt, and this is equal to k times of a to the power m multiply by b to the power n. What is m? What is n? Order with respect to a, n order with respect to b. What is m plus n? Overall order, right? Overall order. What are the factors? at which rate depends, I told you all of this. What is K, rate constant, I told you about all of this, right? And I told you most important property associated with it, that this M and N may or may not be equal to the stoichiometric coefficient of A and B. And why is it so, that we will know in the second lecture of this series. So that's all everyone. Thank you so much for attending.